Things do happen. Ooh, I've been mentioned.
We're in a lawsuit.
Been in a lawsuit. Shut up.
I'm here all week. Try the veal.
Make sure you tip those bartenders and servers. They're working hard for you. Show them some love, will you? I am digging the new music.
This is what I democratically voted for, so I think it's awesome. I took part in democracy. Some other people didn't.
I didn't.
No.
Couldn't be bothered.
Can't be bothered.
That's how we do. That's how we do.
That's white privilege for you right there.
Let's bring up
yeah.
the man of the hour. Swashwoom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the BinPodcast. This is the podcast where we take the week's news and we just chuck it in the bin and we see what comes out of it. And I am here with my usual podmates. To my this side, my boy Jatan Rin. Jatan, say hello.
Hello.
And our ever-present super producer, Mikey Famine. What's going on, son?
President accounted for, sir.
How is everybody?
I'm great. I feel amazing. I had a good breakfast of water, and I'm doing the show. I'm gonna start drinking with you guys, and I didn't wreck any snowmobiles. So all in all, good day.
Do you know what? I didn't wreck any snowmobiles.
Do we know? Shartan, do you know anybody?
Funny.
Do you know anybody
Funny.
who, I don't know, wrecked any snowmobiles lately?
Yeah, that happened.
Please explain.
So there was a ditch, and on the other side of the ditch there was a piece of rock and a tree, and yeah. I got stuck between the rock and the tree and the ditch, and it didn't go well.
How? Like, I'm glad you're okay. Obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm dubious about that.
But the bike or the snowmobile did not survive. Is what I'm
Oh
gathering.
yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's fine.
It's good. I thought you broke it.
A few bumps and bruises. Those things are made out of pure steel, dude. Like it's only plastic, and then everything's like covered with roll bars and shit.
So it's basically a Volvo.
It's a Volvo on tracks, basically.
Good luck breaking that.
Yeah, but it was seriously standing in like a 70-degree angle, lodged between a piece of mountain and a tree, and the entire track was down in a ditch, and there was only water down there, so it took us about 40 minutes to get it out.
Excellent. So, Mikey, what have you been up to? Top that.
It's been snowing.
Wow.
It's just, and it won't stop. It started snowing this morning, and I was like, "Oh, isn't that pretty? Go the fuck away! I don't love you anymore."
Yeah, we had it for 3 days and it was just gone. So, thank God for that. But well, we had a very special time yesterday. It was our eldest daughter's birthday. She was 6 years old yesterday, little Sienna. Where the fuck has the time gone?
She was like in your arms when we met. And she was just sitting there, just sleeping. He's like,
"There she is."
I can't say much. The baby's asleep. And now look at her. She's running around.
She's sitting on here in pre-show saying, "So, Mikey, I'm going to be a podcaster and scientist. I goes where I goes." Yeah. So happy birthday, Sienna.
What are we doing today? Doing anything special?
I think we may have a guest.
Do tell.
Mikey, would you like to swish wash room? Hey, there he is. It's Professor Howe.
Hello, Wayne.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Well, I'm fine, buddy. What a pleasure. Lockdown science.
Welcome back to the Bin Podcast. This is your two-time appearance. You have to do it that
Yes.
time. So, for the uninitiated, Hal, shall I let the people know who you are?
I'd like that. Thank you so much, buddy.
I bet you would. I bet you would. So, this is Professor Hal Sosabowski. And Professor Hal has a BSc, a PhD, an MBA, an MA, a PG, DIP, CPE, Law, CChem, FRSC, FHEA. I have no idea what any of them mean, but I know that I ain't got any of that.
And what he told us, he's also got a huge DICK.
What have you heard? Who told you?
Wow. Already.
That didn't take long.
Right, so let me introduce our guest properly, please. So Professor Hal holds a chair in the public understanding of science at the University of Brighton. He was the first scientist ever to be allowed to do an explosive demonstration in the House of Commons in 2011 and in 2015. Unlike Guido Fawkes, Professor Hal's explosives did work. I can't believe you put that in. You should have seen the look on the faces of the police at the gate of the House of Commons. He has been at the University of Brighton for 25 years. 25 years? Seriously?
Yes, buddy. This year's my 25th year, and they wrote to me today about my long service award.
Wow.
So,
oh, your long service award.
Oh,
we're going back there.
Clean it up, Wayne. Clean it up.
Oh, Jartown started this. He has an international reputation for performing high-end exhibition science in the UK, annually in Moscow and all over Russia, and Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and all over Europe. He has a wide spectrum of science on television appearances, including children's television, where he co-presented The Lab on ITV's Ministry of Mayhem, BBC's Bright Sparks, on which he had his own science slot. He has also appeared on mainstream science programmes such as BBC 4's Volatile History of Chemistry, BBC 2's Rocket Science, National Geographic's The Mystery Files, BBC's History Cold Case, and BBC Science Britannia. He is the man Brian Cox asks for chemistry advice.
I like it. I like Brian Cox.
well, me and him bumped heads, actually. More about that later, if I may.
Yes, definitely. We'll stick a fork in that and we'll come back to that. He appeared twice with Professor Jim Al-Khalili in Chemistry, A Volatile History, and Science in the Golden Age, the search for the Philosopher's Stone on Al Jazeera's. He is a resident science boffin, how I hate that expression, in parentheses, for several local radio stations, Radio 4's Broadcasting House and ITV's Meridian News. And of course, he is a patron saint of Mystery Hour, unlike the doppelganger Wayne Lynch, who would like to think he is.
Why did we give him a
Wow.
soundboard?
It's
Why?
funny because it's true.
He was the science consultant for Big Brother, Endemol TV, Only Fools and Horses, I didn't know that, Endemol TV, Adventure Island, RDF TV, and Science Changed My Life, Outline Productions. He also consults for the Science Museum Live, Brainiac Live Show, and has an international reputation for running live science events. He was a science consultant for CBBC, twice BAFTA award-winning program, Operation Ouch, and most recently was Dr. How on the relaunch of ITV's How, which for those that don't know is a how will you describe How?
It's like a magazine program, and originally it's very evocative because when we were young, when I was young, it was presented by Fred Dinage, Jack Hargreaves, and Bunty James, and it was like, for example, they'd say, how does an egg go all the way through a veal, ham, and egg pie? And Fred Dinage would demonstrate it. The format's a little bit different, but it was things like, how does a rocket fly? And we then demonstrate it. And occasionally in the program, they'd say, well, we can't do this demo in the studio, but we know a person who can. And they get on the red phone and they go, Dr. How? And then I'd come up with a telephone box. not unlike the other doctor, and do the demo. So I loved it. Really was nice to be part of something that I'd admired when I was a little boy.
Oh, awesome. And now you're slumming it with us deplorables. So thank you.
We've moved up in the world, I guess, or he's gone down.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, well, it's lockdown Britain, so we got to do what we got to do.
20p is 20p.
Exactly. So, what's been up for you recently, man? You all right?
No, I'm all right. It's been I had COVID in January, which was
Oh no.
there's nothing like experiencing it for yourself. And I have to say that to anyone who says it's just like the flu, it's not. It's vile. It's a ghastly, ghastly disease, and we need to get in front of it. For me, it was 10 of the gloomiest days in bed I've ever spent, and I literally spent all day in bed. I came down for an hour or two, and then went back up. So we need to stay on top of it and get in front of it, and together we'll beat it, etc., etc., etc. So we need to take it seriously, is the message. But before that, we had a new way of teaching at the university. I actually feel that generally students are getting a raw deal. It's paying $9,500 to sit in front of a computer is not okay. So I said to the boss, I'm doing my lectures face to face, which meant, and I'm not virtue signaling at all, instead of giving one lecture, I had to give the same lecture 5 times. So I was forgetting all the jokes I told and all the stories, but the students appreciated it. And I think as a higher education society, we could and should be doing more, because the students are isolated, they're alone, sometimes they're vulnerable, but they need their learning experience. It's not just about the lectures, it's about the sense of community and fellowship, which they just can't get. So that's the soapbox moment dealt with. So I was doing my lectures.
25 years at the University of Brighton, right? That's a long time. But how did you actually get into science? Because it's very niche, and to be doing it for the period of time that you're doing and diversifying it, with your law and all the other accolades. How did you get into it? Like what prompted you to get into it?
Very, very interestingly, I was a very average student at school, and I went and did a degree because it was the one I disliked the least. I did a PhD because I couldn't really think of anything else I wanted to do, and I did that by teaching in a school 2 days a week. And then I did some uniform service, and by stunning chance, I was offered a lectureship at the University of Natal in Durban, South Africa, just before the elections. So I spent a very, very interesting couple of years in South Africa teaching the black students chemistry at the medical school. And I say that for a reason, because later on you're going to ask me of how I got into exhibition science, and it's all related to that. But somewhere down the line, I decided to come back to the UK. And I was passing someone in a corridor in the building, someone who I didn't really like, and he didn't like me. But he stopped and said, I noticed on a forum there's a 1-year lectureship at the University of Brighton. You could apply for it. And I did. And to my astonishment, I got it. It was on to cover someone's leave. And that was 25 years ago. And I just was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time to get rapid promotion. And because I'm a plodder, buddy. I mean, I teach first year and foundation really well because I understand exactly why the students don't get it, because I didn't get it. I'm not one of these professors who does these genius things in the lab, and that weakness sometimes becomes a strength because I can explain science. And I've got my chair in public understanding of science because I can engage the public, because I need to find the same strategies to explain it that I did to learn it. So I'm a lucky guy. I get paid to do what I really like doing. So it was almost by chance. The thing was, when I was an average student, I didn't get it. I bumped along and I struggled, but only when I started teaching it in South Africa and relearning it, I thought, actually, this is quite interesting. And so in that regard, I peaked very late.
But what was it? But what was it that sort of like triggered you into sort of like saying, actually, I really like doing this? Was there like an epiphany moment or something that snapped in you and you went, oh, actually, no, this is awesome?
When I was applying at university. I applied for biology first time round, and then I just remember a lecture where a guy called Jerry Cottle, who didn't run a circus, as it happens, he taught me something that I'd never understood, and I understood it. And I thought, this is the one for me. And I engaged with chemistry. And I struggled a lot of it because I didn't have any maths. I didn't do A-level maths. But in my late 20s, when I started teaching it after a break, because I was in the uniformed services, then I got it. And I started teaching it in South Africa. And because I was teaching concepts I'd found a struggle, I was teaching it to students who were under-equipped, and they struggled. So I started using spectacle. I started getting my postgrad student to bring demonstrations, because sometimes a demonstration can cover a multitude of concepts.
Right.
And the thing was, that worked. But also, she was Russian. And I'm going to do a Russian accent only because there was a bit of comedy. No, sometimes...
Demonetized.
No, I'll get complaints about it and it'll be anti-right, but it wasn't. Sometimes the demo wouldn't work, and she would say, "It's not my fault. It's your fault, not my fault." And I'd say, "No, it was your fault." And we'd sort of bicker amongst ourselves, but somehow breach the fourth wall, and it was funny. And so somewhere down the line, I thought, well, actually, if you do science and it make it funny, the half-life lasts longer. And the science shows I've been doing for 25 years, internationally, they work. I mean, anyone can do the science and anyone can make jokes, but we can do the science standing on our head and make it funny and laugh at. They laugh at us, middle-aged fat blokes trying to be cool and with it, in the hood, and they think it's funny, and it works, and it works internationally as well. Word. You see, you're laughing now. You're laughing with me, not at me, right?
Oh God.
Guys, I'm sorry. If I could take it away from him, I would.
We are going to let Hal do what he does best. Teach people who know nothing about science.
Excellent.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump off, and I'll be back in a secret little room in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Kitchen.
I'm still in Florida, mate. Come on.
Oh yeah. Jartan's on his soundstage in Florida, where they film the moon landings.
Orlando Studios, Sweden edition. And
Okay.
Go on.
Simply Secular wants to know what time it is on Mars right now, Shartan, because that's where he is. Come on, get in your little cage there with your little beakers.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to fail tremendously, and I have never been more excited to watch one of my friends set themselves on fire.
I'm so happy.
It's like my birthday. I know it's Sienna's birthday, but it's like my birthday too.
No. Jartan, mate, keep your hands off my test tubes, please.
Yeah, hands on your own tubes.
He's going to be milking them like this.
No, it's carry on chemistry, isn't it?
Carry on chemistry.
It is carry on chemistry on the Bin podcast.
Yeah. That's how we roll. Oh, here we go.
No, we need a slide whistle.
Oh, thankfully he's not near his soundboard here.
There seems to be some fire going on.
Well, this is going to be great.
Have you got your safety glasses on, Jartan, buddy?
No, he's going in bareback. Look at him.
No, safety glasses. We discussed this.
Hey,
he's got high-vis trousers on.
Hey, you. Where's your safety glasses?
And your gloves, as we discussed in the risk assessment.
I think.
Well, I don't.
He's getting that ready. I don't know if he can hear us.
Yeah, he can't hear us yet.
No, I don't think he's got it. Yeah.
All right, we'll make fun of him when he's ready.
He's just set a fire in his kitchen and walked away.
Yeah. Can we have the merest passing nod to health and safety and zero loss of life or life-changing injury, please? If at all possible.
No, we're trying to pop ratings right now.
We're trying to get that virality going.
On-screen deaths.
Well,
that's why we got you on, to add an air of credibility, Hal.
Well, at least if he blows himself up, we won't have to deal with those stupid rim shots every 13 seconds. So there's that.
Yeah, and you won't have to pay him either.
Pay him? What?
What kind of outfit you think we're running over here?
This is our bit for caring the community with him.
Someone's just texted me. My good friend has just texted me. Your Russian accent is Italian.
Just one cornetto.
It is.
It's a very.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
It really is.
Now that you've said it, I can't unhear it. Maybe it's like the southwest side of Russia, also known as Italy.
The only way to do Russian properly is if he dies, he dies. That's it.
That's what I say to you on routinely. Are you quoting Rocky IV at me?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Did I ever tell you the only time I've ever been to Russia? We went to Red Square. Me and friend of the show, Scott Robinson, and they had like this festival going on in Red Square, and it was proper hot, like really, really hot. We weren't expecting it at all, and they had this like boxing tournament going on. They had like football tournaments, boxing tournaments, and other little displays going on. And between the rounds in this boxing tournament, they were playing music from Rocky IV. And I thought, this is obscene.
It's just slightly inappropriate.
I was like, do you remember what happens in that? I can change, and you can change, and I can change.
The funny thing about, I do shows in Russia every year, and I have done for 10 years. I love it. It's my favorite gig. All right. Russian folks, they just absolutely love it. But because a lot of Russians speak English, whenever we do a joke, they laugh. Then the translator translates it. They laugh all over again. So it's double bubble each time.
How did that come about? The Russian gigs?
Well, the funny thing was, I got I'm just trying to avoid doing a Russian accent. I got a phone call from a lady called I got a phone call from a lady called Olga, and she said,
and our fella Dmitry.
No, it was Olga, and she said, we've heard all about you. No, that's Swedish accent, isn't it?
I was just shitting the bed all over the place.
No. So what happened was, she said, we'd like you to come to the All Russia Festival of Science. We'll pay for your air ticket. We'll put you up, and we'll pay you an honorarium. And I talked to my science homies and said, what's the worst that can happen? If we don't get paid or reimbursed, we've still got a trip to Russia. And because they were sending us our air tickets, at the worst thing, we'd kind of come out of it having gone to Russia. And we did. We went there, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And then the thing was that the first couple of times we were kind of not so much tolerated, but we just went along at the normal gig. Now when I go, I'll get treated like an absolute prince, big hugs and the best room. And we had a problem with some regulators last time, and the director of security had rolled his sleeves up with his mate, and they were trying to help us. So it's one of the most hospitable countries in the world, and it's an absolute delight. I love it. What did I say that was wrong?
No, look at John.
Put your safety glasses on, buddy. Bit of gentleman's protection, please. Thank you.
He's got.
But why did he get nice, elegant safety glasses, and he's got?
This is already gold.
All right, are we ready for this? What am I doing?
Oh, this is so perfect.
So as per your instructions, Hal, I've got warm water, an empty beer can, heat, and cold water. What am I doing?
Right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate the crushing power of the atmosphere. And we're going to show that it's not pressure that crushes things or explodes them. It's differences in pressure. So what you're going to do is you're going to heat a can up on the fire with some water in it. And the water is going to turn to steam. And the steam is going to displace all the air. Okay? So there'll be nothing in the can but steam, which is the gas form of water. And then you're going to put the can into some cold water, and all the steam will turn back into liquid water, which takes up much less space. And that means there's a vacuum inside the can, and outside the can, you've got 101 kilopascals of atmospheric pressure. The can should do something quite interesting, but I don't want to give the money shot away. So we'll just see what it's. But you have to boil the can for a good 5 minutes, as we discussed. And I hope it's been sitting there boiling for a long time. It has, right?
Yeah. It was got boiling water in that, so it's just standing there now.
No, but the water's got to boil with some heat underneath it for 5 or 6 minutes. We've got to...
All right. It's 1 minute on your website, dude. What the fuck? But it's boiling. It's boiling.
Oh,
1 minute on your website.
Talk amongst
Look, mate.
yourselves.
Complaints department's closed.
Live
Anyway,
science.
I'll just fill in that awkward gap. So it's
the
not.
can is vibrating. Is it supposed to vibrate?
Is there steam coming out of it yet?
Yes. Quite
Well,
a
just
lot.
leave it there for the time being, and I'll interject with some interesting facts about pressure. So, for example, if you sorry,
I don't think I should
have you got the gardening gloves we discussed? Oh, you have got the gardening gloves. Right. Okay. Anyway, so if you, for example, go diving and you go to 10 meters, you get double the atmospheric pressure around you. And if you go to 20 meters, you get 2 atmospheres of pressure, which means when you come up, you have to breathe out all the time because the air in your lungs will be expanding. Similarly, when you go into space, there's no pressure around you whatsoever, but you've got pressure inside your lungs. So if you went out of an airlock without the benefit of a spacesuit, technically you would explode because there's gas in your lungs, but no gas outside to push the other way. So what we're doing is we're doing a reverse space experiment. We're going to make a vacuum in a can, and the pressure outside it versus the pressure within it will be a no contest. How's it going, bud?
It's vibrating. It's still like this.
Okay, so don't set your beard on fire, buddy. Or actually, could you?
No, please do.
that was
Again, we're trying to pop ratings.
that was the bingo square that I'm counting on. That's the one I need. Beard set on fire.
All right. So,
Right, so how long has it been boiling?
3 minutes, maybe.
Okay, and there's definitely steam coming out of it because I can't see any steam.
Yeah, it's the whole can is fucking vibrating.
But is there steam coming out of the top of the can? He's asking.
Yes,
Right. Okay. Now here's what you're going to do. We're going to cool down. So now the can's full of steam. All right. Now steam is a gas. It's pushed out all the air, and gases occupy much more space than liquids. So in a minute, you're going to take the can out. You're going to quickly invert it and put it in the cold water. And that means the steam inside the can will turn back into a liquid, which occupies far less space. So there'll be a vacuum in the can and it'll have the atmospheric pressure around it. And so something interesting is going to happen. Are you taking the piss out of my Magnus Pike impression?
No, we're telling him to invert it, turn it upside down.
Yeah, make sure you flip it upside down. Don't just drop it in there.
Yeah, exactly. You have to flip it upside down. All right, let's try that now. Off you go, buddy.
What? Fuck it up.
Now hold it up. You see what happens? Inside, there was 0 pressure. Outside, there was 101,000 pascals of pressure. The can completely collapsed. Yay!
Science, bitches.
I got some science right.
Look at the state of this geezer.
All right, take me off screen so I can clean this shit up and get back to the
Get back
You
in
just
the
put the
meeting.
put the can closer to the camera so we can see the can,
Bring
please.
the can to the camera.
Tartan.
And on that bombshell, back to the
There's no-
studio.
No, that's perfect. There was no sleight of hand. That was
Look at
literally
that.
the atmosphere squashing the can because there was no pressure on the inside.
Brilliant.
And on that note, back to the studio.
Yay!
Meanwhile,
Anyways, could be worse.
wow, that was brilliant.
I like that. That was fun for me.
Yeah, 100%. And
No, it was. And the thing is, I do that with a huge industrial oil can on a much bigger scale.
Wow.
Really?
And those things are bad boys. You might have seen it on How, actually.
I did.
And the same thing works. It collapses explosively. It's really, really a lovely, lovely item.
Jartan, put the fire out. Put the fire out.
Can we just quick get rid of Jartan?
This is so
Jartan, you
good.
appear to be on fire, buddy.
I know. I'm trying to find the thing. Oh, there it is. I found it. So,
Oh.
Yeah, put your hand in the fire. That's right.
Wow.
Oh, I'm just like slowly looked down. I was like, why is he ablaze all of a sudden?
Just see him running out of blaze, diving into the snow.
He'd probably just light a cigarette off of his house that is fully engulfed in flames.
Anyway, back to the science. So that was the explosive collapsing power of atmospheric pressure, demonstrated by Jartan.
No, that was awesome, man. Thank you. And how that experiment that you just Jartan just demonstrated, he received instruction from you. Where can anyone else find these instructions?
I love the way you did it in that sort of Simpsons-like voice. Where can anyone else find? Quite astonishing coincidence. On my most excellent website, drhowell.co.uk. There's a little tab on the front page, experiments you can do at home, and they're completely naturally without cost. There's 20 demonstrations that can be done in the home. They're good for children as long as there's parental supervision, and the collapsing can is one of them, for example. There's lots of really lovely learning outcomes, all risk assessed naturally, and they will provide a method, a learning outcome, but also it's the questions that they ask. So I'd recommend any of the viewers to have a little look and make a selection, because there's a lot of nice science going on there.
We like nice science. Nice science is always a good one.
I have not laughed that
do
hard.
we have any anything else come up later? A little teasers?
I am properly scared now. Like my heart is still like going.
Right, there was a second experiment that we had to drop because someone is a dick. But
Because my local store don't have what I need.
what, lighting?
Yeah, how difficult could it be? Go to the shop, buy a cabbage, boil cabbage, use the liquid.
In Scandinavia.
That's why I'm a professor.
Yeah, I don't know if they have vegetables up there.
Wow. You probably got some fermented shark.
Yeah, can I substitute the cabbage for like shark penis? I have tons of that. No. Here.
We thought we got rid of this.
Oh.
So, Hal, did you have a substitute experiment?
Well, the whole point was I was going to steal your thunder, because did you really think I was going to come on your show and not do some lockdown science? No, sir. That's one thing I don't allow. So what I wanted to do was just have the shortest of mini lectures with some learning outcomes. And I want to talk about thermodynamics. Thermodynamics is all about heat moving from place to place. And that's the whole basis for chemistry and chemical reactions, is things going from a high energy state to a lower energy state. They want to lose energy. Now, I'm going to get a little bit more intimate and turn the lights off.
Entropy.
It is partly entropy, big molecules turning into little molecules. Now, you can see this blowtorch. It's one of my top 5 favorite blowtorches. You can see.
What's it called?
Oh, this is called Hogan. This Hogan the blowtorch. No, mate, and there's so much material concerning the word blow, isn't there? Shall we? Who's going to do it then?
No.
Come on.
Jartan, wind your neck in. Wind your neck in,
I
Jartan.
was laughing because Hogan is just such a great name for a blowtorch.
No, stop. You need to pay attention, you.
I didn't see you put gloves. I didn't see you put
Oh.
gloves on. I was like, is something going on with his hands? Is it
but
the
that's-
light?
That's how professional he is.
He got
He's
those
like-
on quick.
Hello.
Right. Anyway, back to the science, fellows. So Hogan is currently burning butane gas, and it's giving out two forms of energy. Hogan's giving out heat energy and light energy. The light energy you can see, and the heat energy I'd feel if I put my fingers in it. And I know you'd love that. Now, most reactions give out heat and light. A few give out heat only, and a very, very few give out light only. And that's what I'm going to do. And as I keep on tirelessly saying, I've got the biggest test tubes in Brighton, and here they are. They're far bigger than Wayne's test tube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a demonstration that gives out light only. Yeah, this is the science of jellyfish and glowworms and fireflies. And what happens is, can you see that?
Whoa!
This is called chemiluminescence, and it is the fundamental under which glow sticks are made. But these are called oxalate esters, and oxalate esters, nature has decided that they can only give out light and not heat, and they're used in things like sugar factory. Mine is clearly bigger than yours.
Give it up.
The
Wayne.
glow sticks also. Same for the glow stick, buddy. So the point is that these are used by divers. They're used in places where there's no flames allowed, like curiously sugar factories. You're not allowed to have flames in sugar factories, and oil refineries. So that's quite a sweet demo. You can see even in light, you can see it's glowing there quite beautifully. So fireflies, glowworms, jellyfish, phosphorescence in the sea. It's when nature has decided that a chemical reaction will give out light and not heat, because it's just another form of energy. So that's my little demo that I was going to sandbag with you, but luckily, because someone can't cook cabbage, collect your P45 after the show, Jartan.
I bought my own glow stick.
No, it is, and it is. That's what's used in glow sticks. When you deploy a glow stick, what you're doing is you're breaking a little glass vial inside the glow stick and allowing two chemicals to mix together. One's called hydrogen peroxide, and one's called oxalate esters.
Why couldn't I do something, like that instead of something like
Because you can't buy hydrogen peroxide at that level, otherwise you'd be a terrorist.
Yeah, and also it requires a degree of competence and ability to follow instructions. Which,
I'm true. I agree.
You can't even buy cabbage, man. Jesus.
Funny enough, the reason Wayne's hit on a brilliant point. The reason you can't take liquids or gels onto aeroplanes is precisely for that reason, because there was a vogue for potentially liquid explosives being used. I'm not going to say what all of the components were, but one was hydrogen peroxide, which is just hair bleach. You can go to Boots or wherever and buy hair bleach. And the other component you could also find it in a fairly straightforward way in the high street. And that's why they got onto it, and you're not allowed to take gels or liquids on airplanes.
Yeah, or chapati flour.
Well, that's a slightly different. That's because of surface area. That's the same thing as I mentioned in sugar factories. Chapati flour is very finely divided carbohydrate. So if it's in a dust and there's a flame, it'll be explosive. So when you sand your wooden floor, that big bag of sawdust is really, really dangerous. If you throw that onto a flame, it'll explode because it's got lots and lots of surface area. So that's all about kinetics, how fast reactions happen and whether they happen at all. I love it when it's like,
Is that why MDF is banned?
Something like that, yeah. Oh, there are some chemicals in that. But this is why I love a science plan coming together, because we go where the lecture takes us.
Yeah. No, because I remember we had a new bathroom unit fitted, and my girlfriend's dad was cutting it up out on the landing, and the council came around and said, "Oh, can't touch that, or it's MDF fibres." I went,
Time out. What's MDF?
Medium density fiberboard.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Can I explain?
Yeah.
Yes.
As you might recall, in the 50s and the 60s, when Wayne was no more than a thought in his dad's head,
Don't even start with me. You've been at uni for 25 years. So don't even fucking come up with me.
No, he called you young, you absolute fucking
asbestos.
Yes.
Asbestos is it's a mineral which is used as an insulator, and the reason that will cause epithelioma is it's literally, if you imagine breaking some fiberboard, you get those little needle-like structures. With asbestos, they are so sharp, they're like needles which will actually stab the DNA, and that's why you have to breathe in one fiber, and you can get mesothelioma. And that's why it's so dangerous, because the needles are so sharp, they literally can be come to an apex, which is a few atoms across, and it will actually stab your DNA, causing mutations. And I was stunned when I read that. It's where the macro becomes the micro. And so it's MDF. It sounds like the same. No, little stabby fibers, mate. They get into your alveoli. They can wreak havoc.
I have an acquaintance that works at the local recycling facility, and he said the same thing is now true of broken polystyrene.
Yeah.
And that's why polystyrene is not taken by most refuse collectors or dumps or anything like that. It's treated the same as asbestos, MDF, because when you break it up, and when like someone gets polystyrene and just starts scratching it together like that, all those fibers, they disperse into the air and they can get into your lungs. And because of the nature of them, they can't be seen or detected. So when they x-ray you, they see the globules of moisture building up in your lungs, but they don't know what's causing it. Whereas the other, like MDF or asbestos, they can see the formation because it's a natural fiber. Whereas polystyrene, being an oil byproduct, they can't see it. They don't understand why it does that.
The thing about polystyrene, it really is the herpes. It's the herpes of the material science world, because up until
I know herpes.
Polystyrene is either high density or low density. Low density is just normal plastic. Sorry, high density is normal plastic. Low density, they blow a gas through it to make the polystyrene that your meat's packed in. And they were CFCs. So every time you absent-mindedly broke a cup into pieces, you were releasing CFCs. But it just doesn't break down, and it blows around the place. So it really is horrible. They need to find sustainable alternatives to polystyrene, because it's still one of the most ubiquitous and difficult to dispose of forms of plastic.
No, but what's a CFC? What does
chlorofluorocarbon. During the noughties and the 1990s, we started getting worried about the hole above the ozone layer, because CFCs, they were destroying ozone. And ozone, it's the smell of Dodgem cars. It stops the UV light getting to us. And it was found in the back of fridges, in deodorants. When you used to spray on deodorants?
Yeah, you know I remember Captain Planet. Captain Planet was all about CFCs.
It was the propellant and deodorants, and these gases were going up into the stratosphere and breaking down the ozone layer. And now we use roll-on deodorants, and we use alternatives to CFCs, but it's still not quite fixed, but it's getting there. So there we are.
All right. Is it time for our next experiment?
That is the coolest.
We're too deep. Should we go for the third now?
Yes, I think Zartan's been riding our back all evening, and it's time we got payback now.
All right.
Right, go to the guinea pig
I'll
room.
go back to the secret spot in my house then.
We're in the bathroom.
All right, Mikey, you click it.
I didn't push anything. Yeah, there
we go.
Look at him just blaming me on the spot. I didn't do anything. And while he's going over to his man lab, next door to James May, I will be Brenna. Brenna had to work today, so she couldn't come out. She couldn't come out and play with us. But let me scoot myself on over and pretend to be Brenna.
Swish wash
Hi, swish wash woo. Hi guys. What you're going to do is go to our Patreon, so I don't have to read stuff. No,
she's gonna kill you.
I'm just gonna edit that part out. But thank you for everybody who has been part of our Patreon family. And I will read y'all's names now. Utah Outcasts, Dig on America, LeClaire Vert, Ragabash Dabbler, Elena, Divine Disbelief, Susan, Janamiu, Chicken Anonymous, bum bum bum, Barbara, Tons of Mice, Ricky Scurvy, Miss Nana, David McGinnis, Katarina, Stuart, Austin, Mrs. Famine, and Richard. So thank you everybody for your lovely contributions. We love you guys so much.
Thank you.
And more stuff to come. And we have probably what is he doing now? Probably before next week's show, those new perks for existing members will be updated. So you guys can look forward to that stuff. And on that bombshell, back to the lab.
No, not yet.
God.
This is just so great. This is a good
It's
day.
hilarious.
Oh,
I just want there to be something where Jartan just blows his entire face off.
if
That'd be great.
he could just be missing one half of his beard, so then he was forced to cut the other part, I think that would be good. Like
Hal, if you want to put in a disclaimer here to exonerate yourself from any responsibility for anything that happens to Jartan, go ahead.
Well, we had this, didn't we? In our finely worded contract, I sort of said you knew the risks before you started it, so it's kind of, if it goes wrong, it's kind of your fault.
Yeah. Again, if he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
That didn't even sound remotely Italian.
Exactly.
Was he a Frenchman then?
Hold up. Do you know how many times I've seen Rocky 4? It's like
Once.
a pit of iron.
You know, I don't think I've ever finished an entire Rocky movie.
Dude, it's like 80 minutes long.
I can't be bothered. They're awful movies. You guys all know they're awful, but you just like them anyway.
Oh, the soundtrack to Rocky 4 is quintessentially the best soundtrack of all 80s movies. That and Top Gun.
I haven't seen Top Gun all the way through.
Oh,
I don't. Those sorts of films don't appeal to me. They don't speak to me.
I don't know who you are anymore.
I mean, I was born in '87, first of all, so I wasn't.
87.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. I'm a young
Yeah,
pup.
he could have been one of your students, Hal.
Most definitely. I would have learned a lot more from him than I'm the football coach. I'm gonna teach you chemistry. So what you got to do is, and then he would just literally like try to coach us through chemistry. It was, and I also had my wisdom teeth out, so they put me on Vicodin that was way too strong. I had no idea what that man was talking about. I had to go back and watch YouTube.
What is, as we have the benefit of an actual scientist here, what is Vicodin?
It is a very strong painkiller.
But how does it work in the process of suppressing pain?
It makes me feel really good.
I'm asking Hal, not you, because you don't know shit.
Well,
There's various mechanisms for. I'm glad you asked me this actually. There's various mechanisms for pain relief, but broadly you can divide anesthesia into general anesthetics and local anesthetics. General anesthetics like halothane, they affect your brain and they actually migrate into your brain, so you just go through various levels of narcosis. Local anesthetics like the ones you have in the dentist, like lidocaine, procaine and benzocaine, they actually interfere with the nerves that carry the pain signals. So when you have a filling in the dentist, the procaine or the lidocaine stops the nerve working, which is why your whole jaw goes quite numb. And ironically, this is a very interesting facet of medicines, that lots of drugs have two completely different effects. So cocaine, for example, is a narcotic and a euphoric, all right? It has that effect when people misuse cocaine, but it's a perfectly adequate local anesthetic. And in fact, it used to be sold as little drops for toothache. Heroin, for example, and no, it did.
No, I heard that.
Yeah.
And because Coca-Cola was originally with cocaine.
Yeah, in 1859, John Pemberton developed Coca-Cola. The cola was the cola nut, which gives it its flavor, and the coca was cocaine. And they still use decocainized cocaine leaves to make it. Heroin, for example, is an analgesic, It's diacetylmorphine, but also it's an antitussive agent. It stops you coughing. And codeine, that's why codeine that's related to heroin is found in lots and lots of cough medicines. Very, very interesting how medicines often have two completely different effects. So pain relief works by a variety of mechanisms. And what it does is it either stops you feeling the pain at your brain or stops the pain message getting from whatever's hurting. And
there's a lot of relationships between heroin and what's the heroin substitute that they use?
Methadone.
Methadone.
Yes.
They're both opioids. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. Now, what happens is methadone, all it does is it occupies the binding sites where the heroin would go. So you can't take your heroin because it won't do anything. And it's got a much longer half-life. It lasts much longer. And morphine's a funny thing because morphine's actually from the opium poppy. When you squash up the opium poppy, you get some alkaloids out. And it's named after Morpheus. Who was Morpheus? Not the bloke out of the Matrix.
Damn it.
Yeah,
No, that wasn't the bloke off the Matrix.
I was going there.
It was the god of sleep.
So not Michael Morpheus. Not Michael Morpheus. Not Morpheus from the Matrix. We're not talking about the X-Men either.
God of sleep.
No, we're not talking about Marvel or DC. We're talking about the Roman god of sleep.
Yes,
But that actually, now you said that makes sense as to why.
AKA the Sandman, right? The Sandman.
Yes. Yes. And it was found during the Crimean War. The Crimean War was a really horrible war. And just around that time, it was found that morphine was an analgesic. It stopped pain. It's Florence Nightingale times. And so you had a nation of morphine addicts. You had the opium houses. Yeah, you had the opium houses and
the quote-unquote milk of the poppy.
Yeah, and more darkly, if I may, diacetylmorphine, which is heroin, diamorphine, that's used in palliative care. When someone's at the end of life and they've got some terrible, painful disease, they'll be given medicinal heroin to ease their pain. And that's what Harold Shipman used when he murdered all his patients. He just gave them overdoses of diacetylmorphine. So it has an ethical use, even if it's a very sad and dark use.
I have a question.
Yes.
So it's a two-part question. The first part will be, you mentioned the codeine. I was going to ask about hydrocodone, but also what some of the things that, because of the industry that I was in for so long, we were selling the kratom plant and the various strains of kratom for people who had opioid addictions and people who were trying to get themselves away from the opioid addiction because the kratom plant binds to those same receptors.
Yeah.
And we found out they've been using this for like centuries in Thailand, like the people who are working in the fields, because of the amount of pain that they're in.
Yes.
Because of working in those fields, sometimes 20 hours a day.
No, it's the funny thing about it is we sort of Western society thinks we're at the forefront of medicines. But when I was in South Africa working, there was a natural products group. And what they would do is they'd go and see the Sangoma, the witch doctor in the local village, and say, okay, which plant do you use for, let's say, headaches? I'm making it up. And they'd say that plant over there. And they'd take that plant over there into the lab. They'd boil it up with a load of different solvents. And 9 times out of 10, they would find some new compound in, which lo and behold, was an anti-inflammatory or some sort of analgesic. So, medicine's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. And as you've wisely pointed out, lots of these traditional medicines have a lot of their effects based on facts. And we used to find it out all the time. It is fascinating. Morphine, it's been going on for, the Chinese were using it, 1,000 years ago. They had the opium wars and such like. It started being used industrially around the Crimean War and such like.
I have a question with regards to ingesting pain relief or any other kind of medicine. How do we know how it is distributed specifically to certain areas? Like if you're feeling pain, a certain thing will suppress a pain receptor, or any other medicine where it would be like a lozenge, it will help with your respiratory system. Like how do we know, and how does it target specific areas? Because I know there's a lot of role on like pain reliefs and things like that now.
Yeah. Well, broadly, you sort of divide your painkillers into ones that stop the pain being felt by the brain or stop it being felt at the point of pain. And when a target compound is identified, somewhat, and again, we don't have to get into the big head bumping about animal experimentation, but that's exactly what happens. It's given to animals, and then they are sacrificed, and then the partition, the distribution of the drug is measured by analysis afterwards. But it also depends. If things are very lipophilic, which means soluble in fats, they're going to your brain. So heroin, for example, is just morphine that's been made more fat soluble, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier faster. And the difference between crack cocaine and cocaine hydrochloride is one is more fat soluble than the other. So crack cocaine crosses into your brain much, much faster. Who's doing Zeds?
That'd be the guinea pig. I think he's waiting.
Oh my goodness, my professorial knowledge, and it's okay. Anyway, so it's fat solubility.
How rude.
Oh,
The floor is yours, and if he wouldn't be saying it if I had my blowtorch in front of him, would he?
No.
If
you had Hogan there, you'd be
sitting
fucked.
on the floor for like 10 minutes waiting for you guys.
Look at that little table. Did you nick that from Sienna?
No, unlike you, dude, I don't steal from kids.
All right.
I bought this.
Why does it have horns on it?
All right, so Hal, could you explain the experiment that we're
That
about
is a child's
to,
table. My daughter has the exact same table, and I built it, but it's got ours is painted. Yours is old school, I should say.
All right, so Hal, if you could explain the process of what Jartan is about to do to show what's about to happen.
Okay. So we'll explain the science after.
Okay.
So what Jartan's got, he's got a carbonated drink. Now, the drink, any fizzy drink, is what we call a supersaturated solution of carbon dioxide. It's got lots and lots of carbon dioxide dissolved in the liquid, which is why when you put it on your mouth, you can feel it fizzing against your tongue. And what he's going to put in is some sweeties of unknown origin, but hopefully with rough edges on it or rough texture. And that's going to fall into the bottle, and we'll see what happens, and we'll explain the science after, because I don't want to give anyone's thunder away.
Jartan.
So what's going to happen is there's a cup. Wait for it. There's a card separating the sweets from the liquid. In a minute, Jartan is going to pull that away, and the sweets are going to fall into the liquid, and anything could happen.
All right, Jartan, I'm going to give you a countdown, okay?
Hey, you got your safety glasses on?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Shit, what?
That'll learn you.
Now, that is a money shot, isn't it?
Yeah, all over his boat.
Fucking hell.
Look at him.
Tons of mice, clip that.
Clip that.
That's what you get for being Jartan.
A pain in
I
the
hate
ass
you
and no
guys.
coke in your can.
And on that note, back to the studio.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, Hal, thank you so much for allowing us to
Now-
humiliate our pod mate.
But hang on, we haven't had the science.
Yes, let's go.
Right. So what happened was, right. So I told you that the liquid is a supersaturated solution of carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide doesn't want to be dissolved, and it will find any excuse to come out. So what happened was, the sweets went in, and the rough edges of the sweets, they act as what we call nucleation sites. It's like when you're drinking champagne and you see the bubbles coming from the side of the glass, there's a little scratch there where the CO2 can come out of solution. Now, if you drop all those sweets into the soda, all the carbon dioxide comes out all at once, and it causes a massive pressure in the bottle, which then gives you that big money shot of soda.
So is
And it
that why
works.
they put the rough edges on the bottom of pint glasses?
That's so they don't slide across the table.
No,
Nah, not really. It's
no, at the bottom of a pint glass, you'll have like a little circle of dots where you'll see the bubbles forming and coming up. Is that the
maybe,
same?
buddy, but it's more like when you put if you put some soda in your mouth and you sort of gargle with it, it'll all sort of froth up because on your taste buds, those are rough edges where the carbon dioxide can fall
Let me
out
give
of
you an
solution.
example. 2 seconds.
It's the same as the bends. That's why when divers come up from deep depths, they get carbon dioxide formed in their blood vessels for the same reason.
Right, so on the bottom of my Stella glass, you see the little bubble things there at the bottom?
Okay. Oh, yes.
Oh, let me move you over
No,
here.
that could be. No, I get that. That's exactly what it could be.
Yeah, so when you always see bubbles just popping off of that.
Yeah.
So
But
it makes it being more lively.
It's literally when you put soda in your mouth, it sort of gets fizzy in your mouth for that same reason.
Oh, well, this has been massively.
Look at this.
Look at the state of this. Oh, brilliant.
Been the best. I'm gonna watch this episode again tomorrow because this is funny. This is all
this has been superb.
All the jokes
So
have been paid back.
Not to switch away from what exactly you're doing.
Oh, that mic.
Since we're talking about science things right now.
Your mic. Fix your mic first, and then come back.
What is it doing?
It's making a horrible scratchy noise.
Is it doing it now?
Yeah.
No, it's fine now.
Okay. So what are we going to expect if this is your area? What are we going to expect about the rover that's landing on Mars today?
The thing about all space travel is sometimes it doesn't work. There's lots of failures about landing on Mars, and I think we get overexcited about Mars because they found some scraps of water on a recent landing. Please take this the right way. There is life on Earth because Earth is in what we call the Goldilocks zone. Jartan. Come on, faster, harder.
Fill your boots.
He's like a Flash commercial, isn't he?
A really bad one.
So there's life on Earth because we're in the Goldilocks zone, which means Earth is not too hot and not too cold to have liquid water. You cannot have life without liquid water. It has to be in the liquid form. So any planet closer to the sun is going to be a gas form. It's no good. Any planet further, it's going to be in the ice form. And Mars is just too far away. So the fact that you found some water, I suppose it's quite interesting. It's such a stretch between having life. There is no life on Mars. Never has been and never will be.
No.
Change my mind.
Another friend of the show, Landon, explained to us why we could never colonize Mars. Because the atmosphere is so thin that any water that was produced on there would eventually just evaporate away.
Haven't you seen Total Recall, mate? The original Total Recall.
Yeah, but
totally fact.
Good movie.
I don't want to sound ungrateful, Hal, but we had another scientist on here.
Another one. You've been with him, haven't you? You were talking to him.
You weren't supposed to tell him.
He was so gentle.
You're gonna set him off, and he's gonna get Hogan and Randy Savage's other blowtorch.
He's got Ricky Steamboat. That's Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Somebody else is doing that shit.
No, Mikey, tell Hal who our other scientist is.
Oh, he's talking about Landon Kurt Knoll, who's an astronomer and mathematician. One of the most you guys would get on well, Hal. You guys would definitely get on well.
We need to get them both on and just like step back and we will just sit there and get popcorn.
I told Landon that all we have to do is just reignite the core of Mars. Easy. And then we'd get that magnetic protection and we'd be fine. And then our water wouldn't go away so quickly. The solar wind wouldn't take it away.
Have you been watching Aliens again?
Maybe.
Terraforming.
Why
not?
I'm just saying the easiest thing to do is to kick off the core first and then try to terraform it.
It's not an easy accomplishment, Mike.
I'm just saying, but Professor Hal, can you attest that if we could kickstart, I'm not saying it's possible, but if we could, that would make the whole terraforming process at least doable.
We did a 5-hour show about this, and you're still talking about
if it had some sort of molten core still, we'd be able to do that, right? Maybe, possibly.
Man, that planet is dead, bro.
No, because it's too far from the sun.
That planet is dead, and it's not in the Goldilocks zone.
You
Not
need
even
liquid
close.
water, buddy.
But all right. So for once,
It's so cold. It's like negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit there at all times.
No, that's
It ain't
not
happening.
For once, I have a theory that I think holds water, and let's see what Hal says. Right?
Unlike Mars.
So the universe is infinitely big with infinite many planets within that Goldilocks zone, right?
Sorry, it's negative 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's not infinitely big, anyway.
Yeah, but for
Jartan, listen to the professor.
it's very
Everything
big,
is finite.
right? Gigantic. But the chance of, because what we've had nuclear capability for 70, 80 years. We've
Honey.
traveled to the world for traveled to the moon. What is it? 60 years ago? 70 years ago? 60? 69. So that would be
Almost 80 years.
69 is not almost 80 years ago, dude.
Oh, when you said
51 years ago,
69,
fellas.
right? We're
51
talking about general space travel in that area. That's
Yeah,
early
but
60s.
under that time, we
Yes,
have
Sputnik is-
yeah, but under that time, we have almost self-eradicated dozens of times. The chance that another civilization will reach a space age, so to speak, an interstellar travel in this vast universe, and their time to do so will collide with our time to do the same thing, is not very probable. So there might have been civilizations before us on different planets. There might be, there should be after us, but that we will exist in the same space in the same time is, all, the probability is so minuscule, it's ridiculous.
No, the thing that I'm going to disagree with you there, Jartan, because you're using our evolution as a benchmark for your start point of time and space.
No. I'm saying before us, there might have been civilizations who reach a space age.
Mm-hmm.
After we have eradicated ourselves through, I don't know, climate change or nuclear disaster or just, a pandemic, there might be a different civilization in a galaxy far, far away.
Let me borrow
ago.
from science fiction here, okay?
But
So-
that we in our timeline, where we have space capabilities, will reach another civilization who also have space capabilities within the same space and the same time, is, to me, is almost ridiculous.
I will borrow from science fiction here, and we'll go to our famous non-friend, whose name is Frieza. Okay, Frieza said it best.
Expert.
You guys are a group of genetic freaks, monkeys that gained consciousness, and you think that your petty achievements can come up to anything that's been existing for far longer than you. Do you realize that the universe itself is so many billions of years old that we would never ever be able to encounter something that, and our physical limitations are the main problem. As the type of creatures that we are, our physical limitations would stop it from happening before anything else. So I'm gonna leave it at that. We've done, like I said, we did this show already.
Yeah, but
What you've just described, gentlemen, is the Fermi Paradox.
Oh, hello.
Fermi was a very famous scientist. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. The Fermi Paradox says if there are X million galaxies with X million planets across the universe that could support life, and you narrow it down to the number that you could, he said, where is everyone? So there either is intelligent life or there isn't. And then Einstein piped up and says, either of those probabilities is just as frightening. So we're still in that paradox, is that, what's it all for? The universe is 14 billion years old, but who put the singularity there? If you could catch up with the frontier of the universe and accelerate,
what are you accelerating into?
what would you do then?
What a
Exactly.
great
If
way.
you cross about the boundary.
Don't. There's one more thing about that paradox that I liked, and that was the snow globe situation, or the zoo, as I like to call it. And that's the one that frightens me the most. Is that the reason why no one's contacted us is because we're a zoo for them, and they watch us. That's the one that frightens me the most.
And this just in, we have breaking news. Perseverance has landed on the surface of Mars safely.
That thing is huge.
Good job,
It's about
team.
the size of a room, you know.
Good job.
Right,
good job,
and
y'all.
on that bombshell, this is a great way to end. So, final words to you, Hal. Thank you so much for being our guest. Get your final word statement in. Tell us where we can find you, where people
Love
can
watching
find
you all
you.
the time, Hal. You're great.
No, we need to fix what COVID has done. We need to get back out there, do the science, feel the science love, and do the practical demos. So start doing them at home, boys and girls. Go to the website, drhal.co.uk. There's lots of experiments to try at home, and do it. And then let's get back to school, get back to the learning, and we can fix this real quick.
And where can people find you on the old socials?
I'm at Professor Hal on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, which is, I know the young folks don't tend to use Facebook. So yeah, Facebook and Twitter are the two main things.
Thank you so much for joining us, Hal. I know it's a bit of a kerfuffle to get this all sorted, but no, really, really appreciate you coming on for your second time. Third time you get a hat-trick ball. I don't know how we're going to sort that out, but yeah, it'd be awesome. Next time there's a big explosion in Lebanon, we'll give you a shout.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for having me.
All right, no. So let's everyone sign out. Jartan, as you are covered in Coca-Cola, how you doing?
No, change my shirt. I do have to take a bit of a shower and change my pants because they're soaking wet.
Mikey.
After show coming up soon, and we will have Jenna and Justin from the If Was podcast hanging out with us. If you guys are patrons, and if you guys are patrons and you guys want to jump in, the link will be posted on Patreon.
Cortez. Nothing.
Yes. Oh, I thought you were saying my name for fun.
No.
Thanks everybody for always coming through, Professor Hal. I love what stuff you post and things you say all the time. I love talking to you science people that were able to go to school and do stuff with it. You know, I love gleaming from you guys and being able to bounce stuff off of you because, you know, I had my studies interrupted and I had to do a lot of individual and, you know, just me and, you know, the sources that I could find to find things out. And I love being able to hear what you truly educated folk say when I throw these things at you. It's a privilege and an honor. So thank you.
Wayne, wrap it
Privilege
up.
is mine, buddy. Thank you.
Awesome. Professor Hal, thank you again for coming on. For Jartan, for Cortez, for Brenna, for Mikey, and for me. This has been the Bin Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next Thursday live, whatever time zone you're in.
And don't put sweets in Coca-Cola.
I'm so surprised you're just now finding this out, but it's great. I love this about you.
Just all fucking mind your necks in.